Hey everyone, I'm Jay Shear and welcome to Business Minds Coffee Chat. The goal of this show is to share insights, help to lift and inspire others, and deliver practical, meaningful, and actionable content. Do you know what your customers want? How is your business being marketed? Are you effectively attracting, engaging, and converting new customers? On today's episode, we're going to be talking all about marketing, content creation, and brand development. Our guest today is a husband and father, a successful entrepreneur, a consulting and content marketing expert, a speaker and writer, the host of the Marketing Masters podcast, the content marketing manager for one of the best marketing agencies in Silicon Valley, and founder of the international blogging platform Converge. His list of clients has included the John Maxwell Company, Ziegler Inc., Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, the Better Business Bureau, and many more. On top of all that, this man can play a mean guitar and carry a tune. I've actually heard him myself. Please welcome the founder and CEO of Catalyst Brand Group, Jason Fleagle. Jason,
Thank you.
welcome
Thank you,
to
Jay.
the
I
show.
appreciate it. Yeah, I don't know about playing the guitar really well, but my daughter and son enjoy it, so I love to do that. I actually, Jay, I don't know if you knew this. I grew up, I've got 9 other siblings, and we used to travel the country as a singing group. So we would go sing at like local events, churches all across the country. We were the Fleagle family singers. So
I did
fun fact
not
for you.
know that. That's so cool. Well, so did they play instruments as well? Was it just singing or lots of instruments?
I mean, everyone kind of it was a requirement in the household to learn an instrument. My mom, she grew up playing pretty much all kinds of instruments. Her grandparents were really musical. Her parents were really musical. So, there were always like pianos, trumpets, trombones, French horns just around the house. So like she in high school, I think was the head majorette. So she did that, and then like would march in the marching band. She played the trumpet, the French horn, the piano. So she was just musically gifted. So I think for us, she gave a good push for us to learn different instruments. So I grew up doing violin, piano, and then I taught myself guitar. But she was like, after paying for violin lessons and piano lessons, she's like, I'm not paying for anything else, because you know how kids are. Some of them, at least it was for me, I would do some of the lessons and then I just goofed off the rest of the time. So she was like, if you want to learn guitar, you're on your own. So I ended up teaching myself. There was a really awesome guy in our local church who played really well, so I learned from him. That's kind of a good like segue into mentoring, Jay, I think, for me, because I learned someone who was in a position that I wanted to be in. So learning guitar, he was a really gifted guitar player. So I just was like, how did you learn this particular chord? And he would spend some time with me after church just teaching me that. So it was kind of something I really latched onto, and I, because it was my choice to learn the instrument, I had a vested interest in doing it. So my parents, I don't know if they believed that I would actually learn it, but like you said, I like to sing. I don't know if I have some YouTube videos of me singing, but I like to do it occasionally. I wouldn't say I'm a very good performer, but I like to do it for enjoyment for my kids. So.
Well, look, you have the best audience there with your kids watching and enjoying and listening to you. And I have seen some of the videos of you playing, to your children, and it's quite heartwarming. So that's always good to see. So thank you for sharing that story. I had no idea about your family. It sounds like it's the Von Trapps almost.
Exactly. That's what most people said when I would share that story. They're like, "Oh, so you guys were like the Von Trapp family," and I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much. That's if there was a movie like representation of what we did, that's pretty much what it was like."
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
we did that. We'd sing, play instruments, and then we also we would learn just scriptures from the Bible and do sign language with it too. So
Really?
like Psalms 127, Psalms 139, Romans 6, like full chapters. I still have that all in my head from, you know, what we memorized and would recite with sign language too. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Amazing. That's incredible. Do you have deaf members of the family?
No, it was just something that we wanted to add to it that, you know, made it more animated and made it more, I guess, meaningful. You know,
Mm.
it was kind of weird if we were just standing up there and reciting it, but doing the hand motions, you know, you're able to give a lot more emotion to what you're trying to say or
Mm.
what you're trying to convey. So I think that was a big reason why my mom wanted to, you know, have us do the sign language with it as well.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Very interesting. Well, I'd like to go back a little bit to some of uh, your early story, and what were some of the experiences that you had, Jason, that influenced the work that you're doing today?
Yeah, great question. So Um, I've got an interesting track record, just like I think all of us do, especially in entrepreneurship. I was actually planning on going to medical school. I was accepted into medical school and dental school. That's what I did my undergrad in. I have a degree in biology. But through my experiences just growing, my dad's a dentist. So I grew up, you know, working in his dental office and seeing not only a professional that's really skilled at, you know, the work that they do. The dentist is weird because you're an engineer and an artist at the same time, but you also have to run your own company too. So I got to observe him, work with him, and I was like, man, I've always wanted to own my own business. So I just assumed, hey, I'm going to be a physician, I'm going to have my own practice, I might be a dentist, I'll have my own practice. But through some experiences in college, I just have always been a problem solver. So getting back to the mentoring piece, Jay, you know, that's such a very important aspect of who I am. I like to reach out to other people who are in a position I ultimately want to be in, and I want to learn from them. I ask them questions. So in college, I befriended the guy who was in charge of bringing in guest speakers. And I'm like, hey, I want to be that person that takes the guest speakers to all the classes, you know, drives them to the airport, takes them to go get food, all that kind of stuff. And through that experience, I was able to learn and, you know, talk with all of these incredible leaders at different levels and different areas, industries, you know, leaders of nonprofits, of ministries, incredible business leaders. Well, through those experiences, you know, naturally, I started to make an impression on them. One in particular was the founder of a nonprofit. You know, she's a two-time New York Times bestselling author. She created one of the largest international like forum slash debate organizations on campuses, college campuses.
Okay.
Well, she was starting a new nonprofit, a think tank, and she was like, you know, you're really interesting. Like, explain more about like who you are, what you want to do for the future. I talked with her and her husband for like 4 hours. I skipped a class just to, you know, continue that conversation because that was far more important to me than going to the course. Don't tell my professor that, but you know, I wanted to continue that conversation. And, you know, through that conversation, it led into, hey, do you want to do an internship with our think tank? And it kind of exploded from there. I fell in love with consulting. So, you know, these organizations, they have something they want to know more about. They have a problem that they want to solve. And I'm just a natural problem solver. I'm not only skilled, and I've developed that skill over time, but I think it comes naturally for me, and just my personality as well. And then having a science background, you know, I have some skills for deductive reasoning, inductive reasoning that is really helpful. And then word kind of got out because I guess I did a really good job And I was kind of the go-to guy, for some of these think tanks, political think tanks, and even nonprofits when they were like, hey, I want to know more about, a social issue, and I want to do a presentation. And so it kind of expanded, from there. So that's a little bit, Jay, of how I got exposed, to doing the consulting work. And ultimately I ended up giving up medical school and dental school to, continue to pursue that consulting piece. Essentially at the end of the day, I'm a problem solver, for businesses, organizations, to help them get from where they are to where they want to go.
Wonderful. So to backtrack just a moment before you took the entrepreneurial leap. So originally the plan was to become a dentist or do something in the medical field. Your father is a dentist. When you decided to leave medical school, what did Dad think about that?
Well, both of my parents, they came from not like super poor backgrounds, but I'd say a lower middle class level. So at all that they knew to escape kind of a poverty mindset was to become a professional, through higher level education. So being an engineer, a lawyer, a doctor. So they always pushed all of us to, myself and my siblings, to, kind of go on that path to become a professional. So for me, having my dad a dentist, I have a bunch of uncles that are dentists, cousins that are physicians. We're very much a medical family. So it was very much so going against the grain for me to step out and do something totally different. But, even before I went to college, I was just my parents knew that I did things differently. I would go to local businesses and say, hey, do you have any junk that you want to get rid of? I'll take it off your hands, for free. I'll haul it away. And I would end up selling that on eBay or things like that. So, I was naturally entrepreneurial and just did things differently. I saw opportunities and I kind of jumped on it. So I think my parents knew, it would be a struggle for me to do something different and unknown to them, but they knew, my dad was like, you can always go back to school, if you wanted to. So it wasn't a thing where he was like super disappointed. I mean, it was kind of weird when, I would work in the dental office and they'd be like, so when are you going to take over your dad's practice? When are you going to come back? And, I had a lot of pride in that they would think that I would want to do that. But, for me, every person is different and they have different skills and interests. And, for me, I love dentistry. I love medicine. But I wanted to have a different impact where, I would be so focused on the day-to-day of serving my patients and that kind of thing. I could do amazing good work, but in my opinion of continuing to empower business owners and job providers, it's really being a consultant to these business owners and helping them become more successful. Because I truly believe, I don't promote it very much like on my website or the other websites I've got for some of the other businesses I'm a part of, but I like to work with good people doing good things, because the only way, we live in a really negative world, negative situation happening right now, but the only way that you can overcome that is with more good. So I want to, work with more good people doing good things, help them overcome those challenges, because ultimately they can provide more jobs. They can provide, more money through donations, through local events and organizations and things like that. So ultimately it's going to cause cultural flourishing. And I've got skills and insights that I can help businesses and organizations in those areas kind of get to that next level. And that's what I like to do.
Yeah, that's amazing, and it ties right into the question that I was going to ask you. So you've partially answered this, but if you want to give a little bit more clarity around it, that would be great. So what is your mission, and why do you do the work that you do? So the mission for your company that you founded, that you're the CEO of, what is the mission for that business?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, it is a little bit of what I just shared there, but entrepreneurship to me it's unlike anything else, because especially in the school system, they have a hard time I mean, you can listen to any podcasts, any shows, any stories of quote unquote successful people. They always had a hard time fitting in that kind of box, because entrepreneurs, they see opportunities, they see ways that they can deliver value to other people. So, my mission is to, as an entrepreneur myself, is to work with them and equip them to, be the best versions of themselves, equip their team to be the best versions of themselves that they can. So, my mission is to empower business owners ultimately through a few main areas. Number one is, empower the founder, the visionary, to be the best person that they can be. Number two, empower the team to not only be, personally the best that they can be, but communicate well. And then third is, how can they not only attract the ideal customer, but really identify who that ideal customer or client is in the first place, and then build a relationship with them where they become like a raving fan, a lifelong customer. So that's my mission, in those three main core areas. And some of my clients, some of the businesses I work with, I may only work with one small capacity, which is helping them, bring in more leads, bring in more sales through digital marketing. Others I work on, all three areas. So that's my mission, is to, empower them in those three areas, because most challenges or needs that businesses have, even nonprofit organizations, are in those three areas. It's like, you have a founder that blames their team on miscommunication. When you really look at the data or look at the situation, it's actually the founder not taking responsibility. There might be other things where, hey, we're getting leads coming in, but we're not closing sales. Okay, well, let's look at the analytics and what did the numbers tell you? So, and it might be something completely different. It's one of those situations where you don't really fully understand until you get in the weeds and see what's really going on. But yeah, I mean, I think my mission is, through those experiences and helping those good companies, those good organizations do more good, I can ultimately cause, a cultural flourishing kind of initiative. It's kind of those, pay it forward kind of a situation. Because if they're more successful and the founder's a good person, they've got good character, they have integrity, they're going to hire more people, they're going to give more money away. And that's where my core heart is ultimately, if we have a number of people doing that, it's going to be a ripple effect all across the country and all across the world. We can continue to do that. You look at any organization or group that came together to have a positive impact on the world, like Wilberforce in England, the founding fathers in the United States, all of them have different backgrounds and skills, but together they work together to, have this amazing impact that we're still feeling reverberations, from those things that they did even today. So.
Absolutely. Love it. What a powerful mission. So let's get a little tactical here for a moment. How can a business discover and clarify its story so that business can have greater impact?
Yeah, I mean, one of the best learning experiences for me, just learning how to equip myself to answer that question, was Donald Miller from Story Brand Marketing. Has a really, I can't remember the name of the book off the top of my head, maybe Your Story Brand or something like that. But he talks about the brand script. So, as the company, you might have a product that you sell, you might have a service, you might even just be selling digital information. You want to think of yourself, your business, as a trusted guide that is basically helping the hero. And the hero is your ideal customer or client. So you want to think through this brand script, which, if you're familiar with any story, you've seen a movie, this kind of journey. It's, the hero starts out on a particular journey, wants to get to some end goal. He wants to do something. There's pitfalls along the way, but there's always that trusted guide that comes alongside that hero and ultimately gives them exactly what they need at those particular times. And through those experiences, that journey, when they get to their final destination, you find that it's not the final destination. You get there and you need to figure out where you're going next. And that's another opportunity for the trusted guide to do that. So really that's all I would say, starting out is, think of your business as that trusted guide. Who's your hero and how are you going to serve them in the best way possible? That's the simple way I would say it. For me and the ways that I work with companies, I have a very detailed process of how I go through that. So, I start with the brand scripting process. I usually do a long interview with them, just asking them, the founder, who are you? What do you want to do? Who do you want to serve? And, through those interviews, you pull out those pieces of information that then frame that brand script. So if they don't feel, if a founder doesn't feel comfortable doing it themselves, I like to do an interview setting where, they just talk about who they are. They talk about their company. They talk about who they want to serve. And then you fill in the blanks with that brand script. And then going from there, you figure out what are some of those tactical things like you just mentioned, Jay. Do you need to have a core focus on digital marketing? Do you need to have a really good website that has a lot of SEO? Where's most of your traffic coming from? Is it an in-person store? Is it going to be digitally? Especially with the situation with the coronavirus, a lot of companies are realizing, hey, I need to be more digitally focused, just because that's with everyone being forced to stay at home or choosing to stay at home, that's how you can connect with the ideal customer or client. So that's the process I usually start with is a brand scripting. And then I kind of use that as insights to pull out to, okay, what are some of the tactical things that we need to do? Website, social media marketing, do we need to create sales funnels? Because you don't want to invest a lot of money, a lot of resources, time into something that you don't need to do. Again, it's who's that ideal customer client? Where are they hanging out? How can you attract them? And how can you get them to take action?
Wonderful. So I want to go back to the interview process when you're sitting down with the founders of a business and you're asking them some of the questions about, why do you do what you do and what is your purpose and who do you serve and those sorts of questions, which are great questions. Do you find on average that the clients that you sit down with have clarity around those questions, or the way that you ask them, does it really cause them to pause and have to do some deep thinking to be able to articulate the answers?
Yeah, so I wrote an article that was published in Marketing and Growth Hacking. It's one of the largest digital marketing publications, and I wrote an article around Forbes published an article saying, hey, 8 out of 10 businesses, might even be 9 out of 10 now, but they fail because of these reasons. And they went down a list of them. But in my argument, those are just symptoms of an underlying disease. And that underlying disease is, again, the 3 main areas of a business are the founder, the team, and identifying that ideal customer or client. And if you have clarity on those 3 areas, you're going to preempt some of the challenges that you face. And some of those challenges in the Forbes article were, communication, breakdowns in communication, lack of understanding the company finances, understanding the marketing, digital marketing, that kind of thing. So, through those experiences, I found that the companies who are doing well or positioned to do really well, they have clarity on understanding, who they are, who the team is that they're surrounding themselves with, and who they want to serve. If you have clarity just around those, you are way ahead of everyone else. Yeah. Now, some companies, get to a situation where they've had some initial success. They found something that worked well. They kind of band-aid the process a little bit, use duct tape to kind of get everything together. And then they get to a point where, just like all the stages of innovation, you have something that works, you have massive growth, but then you get to a plateau because people get bored with what you have, that you're offering. So you need to revamp the offer, but not change who you are. So, the founders who have clarity on that, I've noticed they outperform everyone else. And it's pretty rare. Most founders, myself included, sometimes we get so focused in on the day-to-day work, we don't take time to, work on our business. We're so focused on working in our business that we lose sight of, identifying those really important pieces. Because if you don't, it's like anything, think of it like, again, going back to a hero's journey kind of storytelling focus. If you don't constantly look at your compass, you won't have a idea of where you're going. You're going to a trajectory, towards a trajectory that, could be destruction for your company if you're not taking time to reevaluate where you are. So I think that that's really important. And again, mentoring, founders need a business coach or someone, a sounding board that they can talk with other people to ask them those questions, because they're not going to sit around, in a room unless they're really disciplined and be like, am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I serving the person that I'm supposed to be? It's good to have an accountability partner that, comes alongside you, comes alongside you and asks those hard questions, because it gets you thinking, it gets you back into the right mindset. That's why I heavily push founders to work with, a business coach that can help come alongside them and be that accountability partner that helps them, again, make sure they're on the right trajectory. I'm sorry that was a long answer to your question, Jay.
No, I appreciate it. No, I appreciate it though. And you also hit on some other key points that I'm sure others that are listening are going to pick up on as well. It's interesting you brought up about gaining some of that clarity, asking better questions, surrounding yourself with whether it's a business coach or a group that at least can listen to your thoughts, and making sure that, am I heading in the right direction? Are there blind spots here that I need to be aware of? I gave a talk this morning to a business group, and some of the key things that I touched on with this group was around clarity, understanding who your ideal customer is, being able to identify that, know who your target market is, what is your marketing plan, things along those lines. Just some things that we need to think about that oftentimes, maybe it's not top of mind. So
yeah, I mean, Jay, well, I went on a run this morning when I did my exercise, and I love to listen to podcasts while I run. And I was listening to JLD's EO Fire, Entrepreneurs on Fire. And, he loves to say on his episodes, success leaves tracks. So again, identify someone who's in a position that you want to be in, and just look at what they did, emulate, model. Don't pretend to be them. Don't try to be them. But look at those lessons, those examples, those failures that they went through, and try to apply those lessons to your own business. You mentioned, in my intro, Jay, I've had the opportunity to work with amazing organizations at all levels, multi-million-dollar companies, billion-dollar companies, all the way down to solo entrepreneurs. And one of the biggest indicators of success is they search out those models and they try to get into those groups. That's why masterminds, there's a lot of masterminds out there. Some are really good, some are really bad and a waste of money. But I noticed, working with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, he's a part of the mastermind. He has his own mastermind that he does and mentors, other entrepreneurs. John Maxwell has his own mastermind. So they have such a core focus on equipping themselves and helping to overcome their own challenges so that they can equip others to do the same thing. That's a huge priority focus for them. Again, it goes back to work on your business, not in your business. So, starting out, you might be in the day-to-day, but your real focus should be on how can I equip myself to be that leader that I need to be to equip other people to do it. Because if you're trying to do all the work yourself, that's only going to work for a certain period of time, and you're only going to get to a particular level. It's all about empowering other people to, do what they're really good at. And as a team, collectively, you get to that it's a common purpose for a common goal.
Love it. You're definitely speaking my language. So, what are some of the more common marketing pitfalls that you see, and what should business owners be doing to avoid them?
Yeah, so this one's really top of mind right now. I just had a conversation with one of my clients. They want to put a lot of money towards social media marketing.
Hmm.
And the problem is when you look at the analytics, social media marketing really only has like I think I would need to look at the exact numbers, but 2 to 5% conversion rate. So the other thing too is most social media networks, it's a feed. So it goes on your profile and people might see it, scroll by it, and then it's gone. When you look at like Pinterest, which is actually a search engine, it's like Google. You can put your content on there and it is evergreen. So people are going to be constantly searching for it. Same with like YouTube videos. You
Hmm.
can put it on there and it's going to be evergreen. Like with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, it's going to be on there for a little bit. And unless you're running constant ads on the platform and doing constant paid advertising, it's not going to get you the results. Now, the most common conversations I have with business owners is how can I get the best bang for my buck with marketing? So in terms of the best bang for the buck, you should be building an audience. You need to be building a tribe, and your tribe is composed of people who might be your ideal customer or client. They might be raving fans. They might be even a competitor. They might be trying to study you, but at the end of the day, you're building a community that resonates with the message you're trying to put out there. So, as a business owner, I have a product, a service, some kind of offer that I have out there. So I need to focus in on how can I put out helpful information that's going to be relevant to, my ideal client, ideal customer. So if I'm I'll use a conversation I had with a business owner in Columbus, Ohio recently. She's got a windshield repair company, and she's like, due to COVID, I'm not making any money. And I was like, you can use this opportunity as a way to build content that brings people in, and you can still make money from it. So I was like, do some YouTube videos, just record yourself on your phone in your garage explaining, hey, here's some things you need to be aware of how your windshield could be cracking. So the idea is, share relevant content, and then give some kind of call to action at the end of it, where you're moving people to join that audience. So it might be an email opt-in incentive. Hey, if you want to learn more about protecting your windshield, download my free ebook that I've got here. They'll give their email address. With email, if you do it right, you'll have a 30% conversion rate compared to social media with 2 to 5%, and it's only there for a short window of time. Why wouldn't you want to focus in on building a audience, a community, when the return on investment is going to be way better than social media? So, and most business owners don't realize that. They see, hey, there's other businesses that are putting content out there, I need to be doing it on social media too. But in reality, it's not going to move the needle until you get to a particular level. So I say, let's look at priorities and let's do email audience building first. And you need to have some social media content just to have people see that you're legitimate, you're relevant, but it should not be a core focus. So in order to build an audience, you've got to do some paid advertising, or at least I recommend some businesses to do some paid advertising at first, because you want to seed the growth of that audience. And some business owners might think, oh, I need 1,000 people in my audience to make money. No, I've worked with companies who have like 50 to 100 in their email list, and they make a good amount of money from it. It's not the size of your audience, it's the engagement level that you're getting from that audience that matters. Because I've worked with some companies who have millions of subscribers in their email list, but only 5,000 to 6,000 people of them would open emails. And I've worked with companies who have a few thousand, but their open rate and click rate was just ridiculously high, and they were making more money than that. So, you've got to make sure, again, that you identify who you're trying to serve, and you focus in on what is going to be really valuable to them. and drives them to take action. Because once you have their email address, you can continue to communicate with them, continue to add value to them.
So let's talk about value creation for just a moment. So if our audience is building a community, a tribe, and they're using email marketing and they're trying to create the right type of messaging to send out, it, are they testing the waters? Are they sending information out to see what the response rate is, to see who's clicking on links, to see who's opening the emails? Are they asking questions? What type of information would you like to see, or maybe have a video?
Yeah, there's a number of ways, Jay, that they could go about it. Number one, you have to start with testing. If you're not doing, if you're not currently collecting analytics on how, you might have a video, excuse me, a video ad or something that you put out there. If you're not looking at the analytics, you need to be. So getting back to the earlier process, once you go through the brand script process, you need to figure out, by that point, you should have an idea of what's the value you want to deliver to people. The next stage for me in working with the company is you need to create a value ladder. So every single successful company has a value ladder. Again, think of it as a graph. What is the free valuable things that you can give to people at the first interaction with them? So I'll use Michael Hyatt, a very successful guy in the digital marketing space and the learning online course space. He's got a whole bunch of free ebooks, free mini courses, things like that he gives away through his content. So any information, video he does, blog post he does, he usually has a call to action. Hey, download, just give me your email address, download, whatever this is, this free thing. The next stage, so again, it's what can you give away for free? The next stage is, what is something I can give away to nearly free? It's a minimal cost, but it's going to still continue to build that relationship with them. So Michael Hyatt is, hey, because you downloaded my free resource, I'll give you a discount off of my new book that I just published or that I've got out there. And then from there, it keeps moving the way up. Hey, by the way, I've got an online course that I just developed on how to improve your messaging for your company. Because you downloaded my book or, downloaded the free PDF, I'll give you $200 off or something. Again, it's continuing to build them, giving them little micro commitments, moving up that value ladder. And then before you know it, you're going to weed out the people you don't want to work with, and the people who resonate with your value that you're delivering are going to move all the way up to your highest premium offer. And Michael Hyatt, his highest premium offer is his mastermind group, which the last time I checked, I think it was around $75,000 to $100,000 per person to join that mastermind group. One of the other guys I worked with, Ryan Levesque, the creator of the Ask Method, one of the best digital marketing minds, online sales minds I've ever worked with. His one-day coaching, he charges $100,000 to work with companies. So again, it's that value ladder. Now that works for every company. In case of a chiropractor, when you come in, you get a free visit. You'll get a free adjustment. Because they come in for their first visit, they get a discount off the next one. So it's like, okay, what is your free value you can deliver? What's your highest premium level of service or product that you sell? And then fill in the blanks from there. What can you continue to deliver value to people? For restaurants, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's the guy who did Bar Rescue. He delivered a whole value ladder for restaurants. If someone comes in for the first time, they get a particular color of napkin so that the servers know this is their first time. The servers will give them a discount code off for their next visit. It takes 3 times for a person to come into a restaurant to decide whether or not they want to continue coming back to it. Now, if restaurants applied this, he did the numbers. It was like, you'll have a crazy increase in sales just because they had a phenomenal experience those first 3 times. If they have a poor experience within those first 3 times, they're not going to be coming back. or worse, they're going to go online and give a poor review.
That's right.
So those, like, just simple things like that. What is that value ladder that I can implement with my company? You've already just opened up 5, 6 levels of revenue generation for your company where you might only be offering one product or service. So, companies, business owners, when I work with them, I walk through that process, their eyes immediately open up. They're like, whoa, I didn't even know, that all this potential is out there. And when I work with them, Jay, you mentioned content marketing. So my focus is a lot of content creation that they can use to drive people to those valuable offers that they have.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually created through an interview process, much like this, Jay. You're interviewing me right now. This is a piece of pillar content, long form content that I now have the opportunity to splice and recreate as offers for my own company. Same thing with you. You could recreate, splice this as offers to people watching this, that's relevant to your client, your customer base. And when founders realize that they have that ability to do it, or realize that they can work with someone who's really gifted at that, they're like, oh, I didn't even know this. Why haven't I done this before?
Sure.
So that process right there with the value ladder is really, that's when you start to get really tactical. So then you determine, okay, what are some of the test things that I need to release? Video is one of the best things that you can put out there. If you're going to invest your time or money to work with someone to help you create content, create some kind of a really nice about video that you can then basically splice into different pieces. You can use it for like an advertisement on Facebook, Instagram, even Google, YouTube ads, and test it. Do it really low budget first. Figure out what's getting engagement, maybe with 6, 7, sometimes different iterations of a ad. Figure out what's working with that lower budget. When you find out what's working, just start to increase your budget as you go along. And then by that time, the money's going to be starting to roll in. So, but again, every company is in a different space. So figuring out, like for the restaurant business, a lot of them now are in a position where, how can I bring in more people to do delivery orders or pickup orders, just because they may not be able to come into a restaurant. So again, the value ladder, what are ways that I can deliver value to them and have that kind of 9-star experience? I can still deliver them this incredible value where they not only got what they paid for, but it leaves them wanting more. And if you do that, then they're going to just go tell everyone about it and say, hey, you need to go, talk with so-and-so, get some of their food, or, hey, you need to buy this course. I can't believe the amount of value that I got it. And they're only selling it, for this. So
right. Those
are the experiences that I live for. When you see the spark come into the founder's eyes, where they realize there's a lot that they can do. Things don't seem as bleak as they might seem. Or they appear to be. Most of the successful companies that we see today, they thrived or used an opportunity in a negative situation to grow their company. Again, it's what are their priorities? How can they use this situation for growth?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I love the power of the value ladder. And the great thing is for our audience is that can be used and is used in any business. It doesn't matter what your business is, you can always figure out a way to create that value ladder. So if you're having a challenging time trying to figure out for yourself, how do I create this? What does that value add look like? You've got a great resource here in Jason that you can reach out to and have that.
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't want to connect with me, Russell Brunson, the founder of ClickFunnels, one of the most successful online sales funnel tools, software tools available, he's got an amazing book, Expert Secrets, and it's totally free. You just have to pay shipping and handling. And then he's got .com secrets. But in both of those books, he walks through that value ladder piece. So, and it's not just him saying it. Most of the successful people in digital marketing, online sales, in-person sales, again, what Jay just mentioned, they have a version of a value ladder that they implement. You look at Amazon, you might not have realized it, but you've been not a victim. You've been
the beneficiary of
the beneficiary of a value ladder. Hey, you bought this, other customers bought this. It's usually comes up at the bottom. They're constantly upselling you to try to get you to spend more money with them, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because people purchasing one thing, they might want something similar to them.
That's
Like
right.
for me, I just created a online e-commerce store. I've been testing out a new product that I've been drop shipping. I've been exploring other upsell opportunities when someone purchases a product through my online store. And there's a whole bunch of ways that you can do it. But again, it's looking at the numbers, what resonates with people, and then just kind of scaling that up once you find out what's working.
Yeah, and here's the key to that. It is value creation. So what is the end user receiving value from? And if they're receiving value from the content and they want more of it because it's benefiting them, because they're growing, because it's helping their business, then help me get to the point where I can learn more about what your offering is, where I can where I can consume more of your content, where I can buy your book, where I can join your mastermind group. That's what this sales funnel is all about. That's what value creation and the value ladder is for. So I love it. Thank you for sharing.
Well, Jay, one of the biggest I think challenges and false realities that founders have is they need to talk about themselves, and they need to talk about their product or service and why it's so great. That's one of the biggest lies and misconceptions, I think. You need to be communicating in a way that immediately gets people to perk up their ears or want to see more based on the pain points that they're experiencing. I might have a new treadmill that I've got. Do you think I'm going to do an ad saying, look, so-and-so treadmill, this is the best treadmill ever. You just plug it into a wall and you can run all day, sweat all the time? No, that's not it. You need to focus on what their ideal outcome is. They want to lose weight. They want to look better in a suit, in their clothes that they bought, that their kids might have given them for Christmas or something like that. It's what is that ideal outcome? You're selling, the destination. You're not selling the journey, because if you focus in on how hard it's going to be using that treadmill, that kind of thing, that's not going to attract the right people. It's not going to get people to convert. So, it's called a HVCO, high value content offer. So you've got to focus in on what are those pain points that your ideal customer or client has? What is the reality of what they are really trying to do? So someone might be searching in Google, how to lose weight fast. Well, to those of us who know, you can't lose weight really fast. It's a journey. It's a constant, it's a daily thing that you've got to be doing. You got to eat right, that kind of thing. So how do you communicate with them on what their pain point is, on what they're searching, and then work through that kind of mind change that happens? Oh, this can actually solve this. What this person has can actually solve what I'm trying to get to. So it's usually those three main areas when you create an offer. What's their pain points? What's the real problem that they're actually facing? It might be they're sleeping in, they set their alarm to get up and go exercise, but they don't actually do it. And then, how does your solution actually get them that ideal situation that they want?
Yeah.
So those three things, if you think about those and implement them, there's a lot more once you get more detailed looking at the analytics of what you can do. But just those three things, if you dial those in, you're going to get like at least 2x, 3x of what you're currently getting right now.
Yeah, love that. And the great thing is anyone can do that. So just
right.
put some thought into it, listen to what Jason has shared, and then take action. So that's fantastic. So I want to change direction here for just a moment. And with what's going on in the world right now with the pandemic, lots of businesses are having some challenges. They're trying to figure out, how do I continue to adapt? How do I sustain? How do I thrive in a time like this? So for you and for your business, what I'd be interested to find out is what's going well. What are you doing differently that you weren't doing pre-COVID, and how is that impacting your business today?
Yeah, great questions. So what's working well, since I do most of my work, Jay, online and digitally, I work with a worldwide team. I've got, people in Asia, Africa, Europe. Not too much has changed for me. So it's scaled up significantly because, since I've been working in the space of the digital marketing, digital world, a lot of companies that weren't realizing how important that was, they're reaching out saying, hey, I need help. I was so focused on in-person events, or, I'm a event planner and I can't go out and do events anymore because we can't do in-person events. I'm not making money. One of the guys I work with near the Orlando area, they've got a bar company and they do really high level event planning. He's not able to work anymore. The company is not able to work. He's not able to pay his employees. So, they've reached out to me asking for help. So I was like, okay, let's start with what content do you have available right now that's like relevant, that we could turn into offers for your ideal customer or client. So we were creating like in-person like bar experiences that you can do virtually. So using Zoom, how can you have these kind of like whiskey events? So for guys, getting together, having these cool conversations. They can send these drinks to people right at their house, and they can all connect together through these digital experiences, these digital events. So like just something like that, it was an immediate way for them to not only make a little bit of money to get them through the situation, but it's like opened up a whole new opportunity and a whole new audience that they didn't have before because they were so focused in on, doing in-person events. Let's see, what's one of the other ones? I'm working with a UFC fighter right now. So, he is middle level of UFC. He's not like the best. He's not the worst. But he was like, hey, I can't fight anymore. All my fights have been canceled, or we did one fight after the pandemic was getting a little bit better. Then they canceled everything. So we're working together now on creating content, for some of the product endorsements that he's got. So he's an affiliate for products that he believes in. He can make money from promoting the product and people, ending up going to purchase those products or services that he endorses. So affiliate marketing. So how do we create content that's relevant for his audience that, is going to move people to take action on purchasing that product or getting more information, things like that. So a lot of it's been really focused in on, the digital connection. How can we take what you have available to you with your offer, and how can we deliver it, virtually, digitally? Some companies are still able to do in-person things, wearing masks, social distancing, you can still do that. So there might be opportunities for them to, do a hybrid approach. What I think, Jay, you're a part of a few groups, right? Working with a few groups right now who are doing that hybrid approach. People who can't be in person, they might be more susceptible to, getting the virus. They don't want to come in. Okay, come in virtually with Zoom. All of us who feel comfortable being there in person, we can be there, practice, the right protection that we need to protect ourselves and other people around us. So that hybrid model, has the ability to work too. So yeah, that's been most of what I've been doing, what's been working really well. A lot of the clients I've already been working with are like, how can we scale up our digital marketing now that, people can't come into the business, they can't do that. So, SEO, search engine optimization, how can we build a website or optimize a website to get you showing up even more, taking those pieces of content, maybe doing paid advertising with them, things like that. Some of the companies are like, hey, I know I'm not going to make too much money right now, but I want you to pay you a lot with some of the money we were able to get in before COVID, and just focus on building our audience, because we know when things go back to normal, we can make all these other offers to them because we had that dedicated, audience building time. So things like that has been working really well. And then I can't remember your other question, Jay. What was your question after those?
Well, so it was really, what are you doing differently now than what you were doing prior to COVID-19?
Yeah.
It sounds like your business really hasn't changed that much because most of the work that you do is digitally based.
Yeah, that's right. So some of the things that I'm working on now is, creating basically valuable information to business owners on how they can do what I just talked about. So, now being forced to be in a situation with, hey, I need to be relying more on digital marketing. Where do you even start? What does this even look like? How do you do this? I'm putting pieces together for that, because a lot of, especially the restaurant industry, any kind of tourist or tourism event, in that, they're suffering a lot. So, I'm planning on creating some content surrounding that, on things that they can do. So what I mentioned for the restaurant business earlier, Jay, that kind of napkin model, the guy that the Bar Rescue did, how can you do that digitally with these experience where, maybe you're doing pickup orders, or, Uber Eats, the drivers are coming in. What are some things that you can give to people when they pick up those orders, those customers, where it might be a discount off, their next time? They might get a free dessert or something, where you're giving them incentive to want to order more from, you, with whatever that might be, a food, it might be a Chinese restaurant, whatever it is. It's like, what do I have available to me, and what can I create to add more value? Do you think it's not difficult to create a little discount card and put it in a bag and give to people?
Sure.
Just simple things like that. It's going to make, it's going to move the needle a little bit.
Yeah, love it. That's fantastic. So before I ask my last question, Jason, where can we go to connect with you and to consume the content that you put together?
Yeah. So if you go to my personal website, it's thejasonfleagle.com, THEJASON, Fleagle, FLEAGLE.com. I like to say it's Fleagle like a bagel, because it looks like Fleagle. But if you go there, I have links to, my blog platform, my podcast on there. You can learn a little bit more information about me. Highly recommend checking out the podcast. I haven't officially launched it yet, but Marketing Masters, it's all about, in interviewing business leaders, marketing experts on, equipping businesses and business owners with what they need to get the best bang for their buck with their marketing. So, most businesses should really be spending around 20 to 30% of their annual revenue on marketing. That 20 to 30% needs to be spent in the right way. So, it should be it's not spent where, hey, it's going away. It's an investment if you do it the right way. So that 20 to 30% could turn into 5x, times revenue if you do it right. So
that's right. Work with the right person.
That's right.
Excellent. So we'll make sure that we put links in the show notes to your website. So here's my final question to you. On a scale of 0 to 100, with 100 being fully realized potential, where is Jason Fleagle today?
I'd probably say 30 to 40.
30 to 40.
Because I'm at a level now where I feel, we talked about my kids. I've got a wonderful wife. I've got 2 amazing kids. I have my home office here. We're connecting digitally. I love what I do, but I'm at the stage now where I'm content, but I know that I can get to the next level of serving even more people. So by the end of 2020, I've got a few goals that I'm looking to really scale things up. Not only, do more of my own personal business projects, but you mentioned Motava. The digital agency I work with is probably one of the best I've ever worked with. Unfortunately, and probably some of your listeners watching this, they found in digital marketing, there's probably only like 1 out of 10 of the digital marketing experts or companies you work with that are actually good. The rest, they'll take your money all day and they actually don't get you any results. So I was just blessed to find Motava, where, it's the same way with me personally. I walk the talk. I'm very authentic. I don't take advantage of people. I'm very honest in how I do business, and the same with Motava. So, it's great to work with another company where they've rarely had a client canceled their contract with them over the last, I think, 15 years. Most of them have been with them long term, just because it's an amazing experience, not only personally, but they also get the results. We get the results to the client. So, that's been an amazing opportunity. I want to continue working with them and scaling up the company. But yeah, to answer your question, I think 30 to 40, I've got a lot of, I work with Jay. For those of you watching, Jay is an amazing business coach. He's been a great sounding board. So, Jay knows some of the goals that I want to accomplish, but it's a situation where you don't want those goals to overwhelm you. Tim Ferriss from 4 Hour Work Week talks about them, every year, every 6 months and every 3 months, you should take some time to create what he calls the dream line. So what is that ideal life that you want for yourself, your family, your team, whatever that looks like for the people you have as a part of your life, and then figure out, how do I take those steps daily to get there? So, that's, for me, that's what I'm trying to do. I don't let things, or I try not to let things overwhelm me as much as I can. I just know, as long as I'm making daily progress, taking those steps there, hitting those marks that I've set for myself, for my business, for the clients I work with, I'm going to get to that ideal future that I want.
No question about it. Well, I appreciate you being candid, and I'm grateful for you, and thank you for sharing of your knowledge and your experience, and providing some excellent nuggets of wisdom for our audience today. I truly do appreciate it, and thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you, Jay, so much for the opportunity. Again, if you guys have any particular questions, want to know more information about anything I shared, Jay will have the link in. Reach out to me. I would be glad to have a quick conversation with you guys. Thank you, Jay, so much for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. My pleasure. And for the rest of you, thank you so very much for watching. And if you found value in this episode, please like and share with others. And also be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. And until next time, stay healthy and optimistic. Keep learning and growing. And remember that transformative change in your life and business begins with you, and nothing happens until you take action. And we will see you on the next Business Minds Coffee Chat. Take care.